Hey, and welcome back to our deep dive into Jussie Smollett's situation. I am your host, Loveless. I am using ancient traditional astrology techniques. We'll continue, starting with Jussie's family. Jussie's family, the Smollett family, is Venus. He comes from a large family with 5 siblings. Venus is doing pretty well in Libra here, near the fortunate star Spica, and as above, so below shows a successful family in the arts.
When Jussie Smollett and Junie Smollett Bell were growing up, bouncing with their parents and 4 siblings between New York and Los Angeles, as the kids pursued careers in modeling, acting and music, their downtime was just another chance for performance and togetherness.
Jussie's family holds him in high regard, the highest, as Venus is in Libra, the exaltation of Saturn. This placement also shows great disdain from his family to the authorities, Mars. Venus in Libra here also speaks of a beautiful, successful woman in particular. Indeed, Jussie's sister Journey is an accomplished actor and a staunch supporter of her brother. Shortly after his sentencing in March 2022, she shared an Instagram post with large letters simply saying, "Free Jussie." As a note, she is a Sun in Libra by birth. This placement of Venus with Mercury also shows him working with and having the support of successful women or feminine gay people and other successful partnerships. For example, he partnered with the illustrious Mona Scott for his movie B-Boy Blues. He has also had the support of actresses Vivica A. Fox, Taraji P. Henson, India Moore, and Brandy Evans, star of P-Valley, who's pictured in this clip. Lee Daniels, creator of Empire, who is gay, at first criticized Jussie back in 2019 and removed him from the show, but later decided he would give him unconditional support. These people are all infatuated and in love with him, for now. They must be, right? As I know they all know it is a risk to stand behind Jussie Smollett right now. Of course, it hasn't been all sunshine and roses for Jussie, as we know many have denounced him.
What the hell was he thinking? From now on, I ain't never gonna know you're Jussie from now on. You don't even get the you no more. That you was respect. You ain't getting no respect from me. Okay.
Losing a massive amount of support is indeed in this chart. Supporters of Jussie as a person, not necessarily his work, are Jupiter retrograde. Jupiter retrograde often shows something that used to be a great amount, like a large following in Jussie's case, reversed tremendously. And with Jupiter placed in Aries, people are very angry at him. Remember in part 1, I mentioned some good fortune for Jussie. Mercury was trine Saturn retrograde, showing him working again in the arts. But what does Mercury represent in relation to Jussie's family? It's their money, what they value. This says to me that his family is assisting him in his creative projects financially, and that Jussie's work is of great value for them and their empire. With Mercury in the 9th house, they are most likely helping him with his lawyer as well. This planet is also the family's social media, and again, Journey has been vocally supporting her brother, along with his other siblings on social media. Of course, not without criticism. Venus, Jussie's family, would be doing very well if it wasn't for the Sun on top of Venus. This is always a negative indication. They are undergoing a great amount of stress. What does this Sun represent in this chart? It represents Jussie's potential punishment from the authorities and his fear and anxieties in general. So they are experiencing a lot of stress due to these things and probably going through it with him. You can imagine they're in a pickle, obviously wanting to protect their careers, but stand by a family member as well. I do see some concerning things regarding his family. With Venus moving into Scorpio, this isn't a good forecast, and I wonder if Jussie's reputation harms him more in the future. Now we'll discuss his legal matters. His defense team is Venus in Libra in this chart. Just like Jussie's family, they are a strong, fortunate source of support for him. I would expect him to have a prominent female lawyer, most likely beautiful, and indeed he does. He is frequently pictured with attorney Tina Glandian, who appeared on the Today Show, confidently discussing his plight. I'm getting a Venus in Libra vibe from her. As Libra implies in terms of time, his team will try to move quickly about things. For example, as soon as Jussie was sentenced, his team moved immediately to secure his release. When the request for immediate suspension of the sentence pending appeal was denied, another one of his lawyers, Nenye Uche, quickly brought the matter to a higher court, and Jussie's team was successful in moving him out of jail. Again, this was rapid, and Jussie didn't even spend a whole week in jail. Like I mentioned about Venus before, however, just as his family, they might slip from this position of power in the coming year. Looking over the whole chart, I think this is showing them yielding more control to the authorities and having to compromise more. Those who oppose Jussie, cops, prosecutors, etc., are the Moon in Leo. Pictured in the middle is Smollett's special prosecutor, Daniel Webb, who was called to investigate the handling of his case where charges were dropped. In terms of time, Leo shows a long-standing opposition, and this is true as Jussie has been dealing with this legal case since 2019. The Moon, Jussie's enemies, are joined to the star Merak closely.
Moon conjunct Merak by 3 minutes. Merak, in Ursa Major, is loins of the bear, and is associated with the love of command and domination. Nature is martial.
I see this as saying, those against him are strongly motivated and will look to dominate Jussie in court, in this case successfully. Daniel Webb and his team went to the lengths of interviewing 53 people and collected more than 120,000 pages of documents when investigating his dropped charges. The Moon is separating from an opposition with Saturn. Saturn is Jussie. This opposition is bad. They are very much his enemy. Webb was successful in Jussie's second indictment, which is why he is making an appeal. I see this aspect saying, though, that Jussie is still in a period of transition from his last ordeal with the authorities, rather than a new development happening soon. So I don't think things are really moving forward yet with his appeal. The reason why his defense team was able to negotiate Jussie being out in the streets is because they convinced the court his appeal would take so long that he might serve time in jail for nothing, essentially, and his crime was non-violent. As mentioned in an article from March 2022,
the Jussie Smollett case is far from over, analysts say. The Illinois appellate court that ordered Mr. Smollett's release from jail often takes months, even years, to rule on cases, according to experts.
So I think it is too soon to tell. They probably haven't even touched Jussie's case yet. To get an idea of how things move forward, we look at the Moon further. The Moon is going to do a few aspects here. Moon sextile Mars, Moon sextile Venus, and Moon sextile Sun. This looks like something involving the authorities, Jussie's defense team, and his potential punishment. I think the aspect that could show punishment brought to Jussie is Moon sextile Sun. However, there are other aspects happening before this, and in traditional astrology, this would show his punishment being blocked by something. I'm not exactly sure how this could manifest, but maybe Jussie's lawyers somehow intervene in the future again. Lastly, sextile aspects are weak and don't necessarily show things happening for sure. Well, we'll see how this plays out. I pulled some tarot cards asking about Jussie's situation. This card is inquiring about Jussie's energy. The Hanged Man appears. This is a person who is suspended in a period of wait. Jussie is waiting for the outcome of his appeal. It might be a very long wait, and it is probably frustrating for him when considering planning out his future. I pulled another card to ask about his finances. The Chariot appears. This is supposed to be a good omen moving forward and speaks of settling debts and saving and investing when possible. I feel like he will attempt to make financial moves quickly, which makes sense concerning his situation. What about Jussie in the media? The Ten of Swords, Lord of Ruin, appears. Due to the scandal and previous conviction, he's referred to in media as the disgraced actor, Jussie Smollett. And what about the hoax? Now, I won't claim to know whether he made a hoax, but I was curious. The card The Lovers appeared. This is a curious card, and there are a few ways to interpret it. I see this showing two men. Is the card mentioning a partnership with two men, though, or being attacked by two men? I'm honestly happy with this vague answer. And so I asked on a different day, will Jussie win the appeal? I shuffled as I always do. The Ten of Swords, Lord of Ruin, appeared again, and the Hanged Man. So not a very good omen. There's a lot of strife here, and still saying there is a period of wait. That's what I get for asking the same question twice. It may just be too early to tell. So we're at the end of the video, but I'm going to highlight important takeaways based on this chart. That's my reading on Jussie Smollett for now. I'll be watching for updates.